Hey everybody, welcome. I am here with my friend Gerald, who's from the Dominican Republic. I'm so excited for you to hear his story. So I'm just gonna toss it to him. Gerald, why don't you introduce yourself to the Anthem fam here that's gonna be watching this.
Great, so thank you so much, Jason, just for having me here and you know, to the church for having me here too. What a blessing is for me to be in this place. So I'm so excited to see you again.
Yeah, Gerald and I got to spend a whole week in the mountains together and got to do some fly fishing.
We
did some fly
fishing,
some campfires. Yeah, so we had a good time. Gerald grew up in the Dominican Republic. So why don't you tell us a little bit about, we'll start there, tell us a little bit about growing up there, what your life was like growing up.
I am a former alumni, right, of a sponsored child of Compassion International. And yes, I grew up in the Dominican Republic, and the first things that I can say it is that I know that many people knows what a roller coaster is. Yes. And you know, if they know what a roller coaster is, that was my life when I was a child. I remember, you know, just when I was 4 years old, my father left the house and my mother had to raise my brother and me all by herself. And from that age, I never knew what it was like to have a father. So that means that everything started to change in my life because I had to deal with extreme poverty, with no money to eat, no money to dress, no money to have an education. I always say that do not having a father in your life, it is hard, but it is hardest when you don't mean anything to your father. And I have to face a lot of things in my life during my childhood. For example, some things that I remember, I had to walk to go to my school with my broken shoes from Monday to Friday, around an hour. I remember that sometimes my mom, she say, hey Gerald, today we got 10 Dominican pesos and we need to choose between you going to the school, walking, or taking a transportation. So the day that I decided to have the money for breakfast, that day means that I have to walk to my school. But the day that I took the money to take transportation, public transportation, that day I couldn't have breakfast. So another thing that I faced in my life during my childhood was that I had to knock the door of my neighbor and ask them for empty bottles of Coca-Cola and exchange those empty bottles of Coca-Cola for bread and milk at the grocery store to eat the only meal of the day. I didn't have a bed to sleep on. And some things that I remember, it was me selling juice and empanadas on the street to survive. Sometimes selling hot chocolate and bread in the morning, 5 a.m., 4 a.m., just to get some money to buy food to my house. Yeah.
And you mentioned that your dad wasn't really present in your life. When we were in the mountains together, you told a story about your dad was a police officer,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that you would tell some about that.
Yeah, he was a police officer. So in my case, my father, he never had time for me. And I remember one day that I decided to call my father. And after 14 attempts, he asked me to pass by the police station to get some money to buy food. When I got to the police station, that day I was supposed to go to my school, but I decided to go to that place. And when I got to the police station, my father wasn't there. So I was waiting my father from 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. and my father never showed up. One of my dad co-workers decided to call my father because he saw me and he said, hey, are you Lorenzo's son? And I said, yes, I am Lorenzo's son. He said, let me call your father. When he called my father, I remember that I talked to him and I said, hey dad, I'm here, you know, from this morning, 7 a.m., it is 5 p.m., I haven't had breakfast, I haven't eaten anything. His answer was just go to your home, I'm gonna call your mom. Like, you know, like, maybe just presenting another face, you know, something. Yeah.
And then some stuff started to shift in your life.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
I remember that in the middle of that process, there was a Christian school. My mom, she didn't know what to do, but she decided to go to this school and see if they can help me with my education. So they approved a 50% scholarship for me. But then they mentioned something about a program that was in a local church, and that program was Compassion International. And they say, let's try to see if that organization can approve the other 50% for you of the scholarship. So we went to that place, and they decided to go to my house. When they saw my situation, they say, definitely we need to help you. And they decided just to put my name in a list of children that were just waiting for to get a sponsorship. And they took me some pictures, and they sent my pictures to London, United Kingdom.
To London.
London, United Kingdom, yeah. And in a church in London, United Kingdom, there was a man, his name is Brian Bilson. This man, he saw my packet, and he said, I want to sponsor Gerald Lorenzo from the Dominican Republic. And I can say today that when that happened in my life, that was the perfect moment, because we found a place that provide uniform, that provide transportation, that provide food, not only for me, for my brother and me, but the most important, we found a place that provide the gospel of Jesus Christ in my life. And yes, that was, the way that we connected with Compassion International. I remember that my first bed was gifted by Compassion International, and not only for me, for my brother and me. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time when I was a child that Compassion decided just to buy this bed for me. That was the first time that we were able to sleep on a bed.
Wow. Talk about, you told us all a story about getting a letter.
Yeah,
from
my
your
sponsor
and like how meaningful.
Yeah, many people ask me about, hey Gerald, do you meet your sponsor in person? And the answer is no, I never met him in person. But I remember that Compassion has something that is called letters. And through the letters, we create a bond of a father and son that I never knew before. And when my father never called me to say happy birthday or to say something special to me, my sponsor was every year just sending letters to me in the Dominican Republic and letting me know, hey Gerald, you are special for me, you are special for my family, we are here in London, United Kingdom, we want to wish you the best of the Christmas. And that was something that really affected my life in a positive way, because it was just a reminder like, hey, the Lord, you are special for Jesus Christ, you are special for the Lord.
Tell us about where you're at now. Like, we heard a lot about your upbringing and getting connected to Compassion.
So today I can say that my life is not a roller coaster anymore. Yeah, and it is because I am married to a beautiful woman from the Dominican Republic. I have two beautiful baby girls. One of them, the older one, is Valerie. She is 3 years old. Victoria, she is 9 months.
Oh, you got your hands full.
Yeah. And I always say that things that one day a man from a church decided to sponsor me, I'm not going to repeat the same story as my father. One of the goals that I have in my life is to be the husband for my wife that my mom never had, and to be the father to my daughters that I never had before. Today I got a bachelor's degree in business management thanks to Compassion. I got a certification in Christian leadership thanks to Compassion. I am working with a lot of youth guys in my church, and I am helping a lot of people in immigration too. So I always say that we are a great example that a whole family can be changed in just sponsoring a child.
Well, why don't you, as we wrap up, why don't you tell everyone that's watching this is going to be played this coming Sunday. And so I want just everybody to hear from you why compassion matters. There's people, I'm sure, listening to this that are on the fence on should I be a part of this thing? Like, should I sponsor a kid just like you?
I always say that we got a lot of children that are a decision away to be the next neurosurgeon, the next pastor, the next evangelist. You know, we got a lot of children that are just waiting for a person that decided just maybe to throw away, maybe, I don't know, something that decided to buy just to decided to sponsor a child. I am a life, you know, like a great example, because I always say when you decided to sponsor a child, you are not only sponsoring a child, you are changing a life as my life. You are changing a family as my mom, my brother and I. You are changing an entire generation as my wife, my baby girls, and all the youth guys that I'm working with. So why not to sponsor a child today? My name is Gerald Lorenzo, a former sponsored child, and if you want to sponsor a child today, it is just $38 a month, and I am pretty sure that you are going to change a life as my life. You're going to change a family as my family, and you're going to change an entire generation as my wife, my baby girls, and all the youth guys that I'm working with.